What's going on, everybody? It's JellyJNBA back with another video. In today's video, I will be ranking all 30 starting power forwards in the NBA using a tier maker. If you guys are new here and are just seeing this video, I've also done this same thing for the point guard position, shooting guard position, and small forward position. I'll leave a link to those videos in the description below. And also, if you love the NBA, consider subscribing. I upload basically every day. Now let's get right into the video. Alright guys, so here we are at the tier maker. And before I just jump right in and start putting guys in certain tiers, I want to explain for anybody who hasn't seen the other videos in this series the logic I go through putting each player in a specific tier. So we'll start at superstar. That's basically generational talents, guys that are top 10 players in the league, guys that teams can build around and contend for a championship with. All NBA is a step below that, guys that are premier stars at their position. Below that is all-star. I kind of have like a high-end all-star and a low-end all-star. High-end all-star obviously being closer to all NBA, low-end all-star being closer to starter. For starter, I have the same thing. I have a high-end starter closer to all-star, and then a low-end starter closer to bench, and then bench and bum kind of speak for themselves. Bench is pretty much guys that can come in and be good rotational pieces, but guys that you really don't want to start for your team, and then bum speaks for itself. With this position, I feel like it's very much just a lot of guys competing for this position. For other positions, like for shooting guard, point guard, there wasn't too much of a disparity between the talents, but for this position, I feel like there's a big disparity between the guys that are superstar, all-NBA, and then there's just a huge chunk of guys in the starter position. So let's start with somebody in Sabonis, who's a first-time all-star this year, playing in Indiana. I'm gonna go ahead and put him in the all-star tier just because I like what he's become in Indiana. Him and Malcolm Brogdon have a great thing going with the pick and roll, running it between those two, while Victor Oladipo has been out with injury. I still don't know what they're gonna end up doing with the whole Miles Turner situation, if they're just gonna continue to bring him off the bench, but Sabonis goes in the all-star tier for me. Taurean Prince is somebody who got traded from Atlanta to Brooklyn last offseason. He's a guy that can come in and play solid minutes for you and defend and shoot, but he struggled this year, and for that I'm gonna still place him in starter. If he still continues to struggle, he'd go down into the bench tier, but for right now I'll leave him into the starter category. I know he played a lot of time at the 4 this year because Brooklyn didn't have Durant and other guys because his natural position is more of the 3, but I'll go ahead and keep him in starter. Pascal Siakam is a guy that I'm very much high on. I was going to place him in the high-end all-star tier, but I actually went and threw him in the all-NBA. I don't think he's somebody that you can build your team around specifically, but I think he's a great player who is one of the top 3 players at this position. Tatum is a guy who was in the small forward video that I made, and I actually put him on the same tier as Brandon Ingram. I'm going to do the same thing here as well. Put Tatum in the all-star category. I think as soon as next year, if he continues to develop and continues to become this two-way player that nobody really saw, I think he can definitely move up to all-NBA. But for right now, I'm going to go all-star. Lauri Markkanen is another guy similar to Taurean Prince. He kind of had an off year. Nobody really knows what's going on in Chicago because that place is a mess right now with Jim Boylan, and they just got some front office changes that were very much needed. I'm going to go ahead and throw him in the starter category. I'm not ready to give up on him yet. If he gets the right coach, I feel like he can be someone like a Porzingis, like somebody that can come in and defend somewhat and then be a great shooter for you on the outside. John Collins is a guy that puts up very good numbers in Atlanta. Collins will go in the starter category for me, and the only reason why he wouldn't be in the all-star despite putting up very good numbers is just simply the fact because he's not too good of a defensive presence, and especially on that Atlanta team with guys like Trey who are already minus defenders, I feel like that's what hurts him and puts him in the starter category for me. Jaren Jackson, another guy that I love. I feel like his impact could place him into all-star. He's a huge reason behind why the Grizzlies have been so impressive this year in basically their second year of a rebuild, but I'm actually going to throw him in the starter category just because I don't think he's on the same tier as guys like Tatum and Sabonis right now. PJ Washington is a guy who impressed us early in the year with his shooting, but then he kind of fell off towards the later part of the season. I'm going to go ahead and throw him in bench just because he hasn't shown us too much consistency yet, although he does have the potential to be a modern 4. Now Zion is somebody who didn't play a lot of games this season, but when he did play, he played at an all-star level. So I'm going to go ahead and put him in the all-star category. I believe his impact when he did play was all-star caliber, and if he played the entire season and put up those numbers, I think he would have made the all-star team. So that's why he goes in that category for me. Rudy Gay is a guy that can come in, play good defense for you, shoot, play make a little bit, but I really wouldn't want him to be my starter. whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and put him on the bench. Paul Millsap is an older guy who has really fell off from his days in Atlanta. He's somebody that can still defend for you in the front court and space the floor for you. Therefore, he'll go in the starter category for me. Another guy who's kind of fell off and is a little bit older and now is overpaid is Al Horford. He will go in the starter category for me. Just another guy that can come in, be a solid front court player for you, and stretch the floor, which is what's needed in the NBA. And then another guy similar to Millsap and Horford, just another guy can come in, be a good front court presence for you, and with the ability to stretch the floor a little bit is Kevin Love. Now, obviously, all three of these guys at some point in their career were all-star level, but at this point in their career, as of the 2019-2020 season, they will go in the starter category for me. Danilo Gallinari, just another solid starter at this position. Like I said, this position just has a lot of solid glue guys. They don't really have a lot of stars at this position, like the ones that we'll get to. It's another solid starter for you. Now, Blake Griffin, I know he didn't play a lot of games this year, and when he did play, he wasn't, what Blake Griffin has been the last few years at all, and that is partially due to injuries and, whatever else is going on in Detroit. I'm going to go ahead and throw Blake in the starter category just because I think, we don't know when Blake Griffin is going to come back and be Blake Griffin 100% healthy, because at this point in his career, he's had so many injuries, but I think he still brings, enough impact to a team to be in the starter category. Now we have James Johnson, and I'm going to throw him in the bench category. Just another guy that can come in, shoot, defend for you, but not somebody that you would really want starting for your team. But Jincia, I know I said his name wrong. He's just another good bench guy for you, just another rotational piece that can come in, shoot, defend, be what he needs you to be in the limited minutes that he plays. Marcus Morris, actually, a lot of people are high on him, but I feel like he just is too much of an empty player for me to put him in the starter category. He takes too many dumb shots, and he doesn't have too much of an impact on defense and demands the ball a lot as a four, so that's why he'll go in the bench category for me. Bogdanovich will go in the solid starter category for me. Just another guy that can come in and just be a solid guy for you at the 3 or 4 position, whichever one you decide to play him at. Davis Bertans is somebody that probably a year or 2 ago I would have put him in the bench category. But what we've seen in Washington with his ability to play alongside guys like Bradley Beal and other guys who can play make for him, with his ability to just spot up, places him in the starter category for me, definitely. This makes sense here. Anthony Davis in the superstar category, there's no argument for that. Then we have Jay Crowder. He's another guy that just goes in this solid, bench tier for me. Just a guy that can come in, shoot, defend for you, but you don't really want him starting for your team. Draymond Green, I might get a lot of hate for this. Draymond has went through a lot this year, missing playing with Clay, missing playing with Steph, guys that can play make for him. He really, his offensive game has kind of fell off without that. But I still think his ability to play defense and guard multiple positions and play make while Steph and Clay run off ball screens and whatever it is puts him in the all-star category for me. I know he's fell off a little bit. I know I might get hate for that, but I think he is better than everybody in the starter category right now, so that's why he went in all-star. Robert Covington is another guy that just goes in the solid starter category for me. Just a guy that can come in, be a good piece for you, shoot the 3, play defense. You don't really ask him to do much else for you. Giannis Antetokounmpo is the clear-cut best player at this position. He is a top 5 player in the league easily. In my opinion, a top 3 player in the league, so that's why he goes in the superstar category for me. Aaron Gordon, similar to somebody like Blake Griffin, he's really struggled when he has played the last few seasons in his production and his efficiency. Somebody that could very much, if he continues to struggle, could go to the bench tier, but he'll go in the solid starter category for me, just because I think a lot of his struggles come back to what they're trying to do in Orlando and just really experimenting. Julius Randle, he'll go in the solid starter category for me. I feel like he's another one of those guys similar to John Collins. He's going to put up good numbers for you, but his impact on the other aspects of the game, such as defense and winning, isn't really there for me too much to put him in the all-star category. Dario Saric, now, if this was 2 years ago, I would put him in the starter category because of what he was able to do playmaking-wise in Philly, but ever since he left Philly, the teams that he's been on haven't allowed him to play make, and that's what I really think he excels at, so that's why he'll go in the bench tier for me. Just another guy who can come in, play solid D for you, shoot the ball, and play make a little bit. Kristaps Porzingis, I wanted to throw him in the All-NBA tier, but I just don't think he's there yet with the injury history, and don't think he's on Pascal's level of overall impact on the game, but I think he is definitely the highest quality all-star that we have so far, so that's why I'll put him there. He's another guy along with Tatum. If him and Luka continue to grow together and he continues to be this, defensive presence in Dallas as their rim protector, he can definitely move up to All-NBA next season. And last but not least, we have Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo is a guy that has been out of the NBA for a year, just came back to to the NBA this year, playing for the Blazers. I'm gonna put him in the bench category. I think he's just another one of those guys like Marcus Morris, somebody that demands the ball too much, takes, you know, some questionable shots a lot of the time. Just somebody that you wouldn't want starting for your team at this point in his career. And that's the video, guys. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Stay tuned. I will be releasing the last episode in this series ranking centers, so keep your eye out for that. And that's the video.